These machines, relatively inexpensive but highly destructive, are appearing in ever greater numbers. Many of them are linked back to cooperation between Russia and China, raising serious concerns for Ukraine and its allies. But how did this alliance of technology come to shape the battlefield so quickly? And could it lead to a weapon so powerful that it changes the very logic of war? Russia's main producer of these deadly machines is a state-owned arms company called IEMZ Kupol. For decades, Kupol built missile defense systems. Now, under the strain of war, it has shifted gears. Kupol is making drones, thousands of them. These drones are not built alone. Documents and European security officials reveal that Chinese experts have flown to Russia many times since 2023 to help with tests, designs, and even training Russian staff. Kupol's Chinese connection. Kupol has been receiving shipments of Chinese attack drones through a sanctioned Russian company called TSK Vector. The supplier? A Chinese drone manufacturer named Sichuan AEE. Invoices and bank statements show one-way attack drones being shipped into Russia. These aren't toy quadcopters you'd see in a park. These are military strike platforms like the A-140 and A-900, designed to fly long distances and slam into targets like guided missiles. Even more shocking is that Kupol conducted test flights of new AEE drones at Chebarkul, a Russian military site. Chinese experts were there in person, assembling the drones, training Russians, and flying alongside them. The reports called them Russian employees, but security officials insist they were AEE staff. That means Chinese engineers were not just designing the weapons, they were on Russian soil, helping test them in live conditions. The Garpiya threat. So, what makes these drones so dangerous? The Garpiya drone, like Iran's Shahed, is a one-way drone. It doesn't return. Instead, it carries a warhead, flies hundreds of miles, then crashes into its target and explodes. Ukraine says Russia is now using about 500 of these Garpiyas every single month. Imagine that. 500 kamikaze planes falling from the sky in waves. Kupol has been building them in massive numbers, using Chinese parts like engines, flight computers, and navigation systems. But Russia is not stopping there. Kupol is already working with Chinese experts on a new drone called the GA-21. Impact of these drones. Now let's zoom out for a moment. Why are drones so important in this war? The answer is attrition. Ukraine's soldiers say drones account for up to 70% of Russian casualties, and in some areas, nearly 90% of equipment losses. Let that sink in. 9 out of 10 destroyed Russian machines are falling to drones. That means whoever masters drone warfare wins more than battles. They may win the war. But there's a truth. Drones are vulnerable. In fact, Chinese researchers studying the war admit that about 90% of Russian drones were being shot down by Ukraine's advanced air defenses. That should be good news, right? Not quite. Because instead of giving up, China's engineers are coming back with new tricks. One new idea is called terminal evasion. Imagine a small drone flying straight at a target. At the last second, a missile locks on to destroy it. Suddenly, the drone fires tiny rocket boosters on its sides, yanking itself violently sideways at 16 times the force of gravity. The missile streaks past empty air and detonates uselessly. Digital tests show this method could help drones survive 87% of attacks. That's right, 87%. If a swarm of 100 drones comes at you, more than 80 could still hit their targets, even under heavy fire. But can such a system really work in the chaos of battle? That is the big question. Synchronizing the rocket bursts with split-second flight controls is a nightmare of engineering. Still, if it works, Russia could turn throwaway drones into almost unstoppable weapons. Here's where things get even more mind-bending. Ukraine's own intelligence service found that 60 to 65% of all components inside Russian drones come from China. Circuit boards, navigation systems, communications gear, you name it. The second and third biggest suppliers? That's right. Even Western tech ends up inside weapons raining down on Ukraine. One wild discovery showed upgraded Russian drones using 3G modems. These modems send location data directly to a Telegram bot, helping Russian forces map where Ukraine's air defenses are hiding. Imagine that, a cheap phone modem turning a suicide drone into a spy. And Russia isn't stopping at propeller drones. Intelligence reports show tests of a jet-powered strike drone and new humidity-resistant warheads so the weapons can work even in bad weather. China's bigger game. But here's the million-dollar question. Is China only helping Russia? Or are they learning for themselves? Chinese engineers are watching this war closely. They see how drones are destroyed, how they slip through defenses, how they're used in swarms. Already, China's People's Liberation Army is planning to use these lessons for its own drone fleet. They want their swarms to be smarter, faster, harder to kill. The South China Morning Post reported that Chinese researchers are pushing for swarms of drones that can survive in ways we've never seen. Instead of cheap throwaways, China wants swarms that dodge missiles and fight through defenses. That could change everything in future conflicts. So, how does the United States fit into all this? The US military has always focused on expensive, high-tech drones like the Predator or Reaper. These are powerful, but they are slow to build and cost millions each. Meanwhile, China has mastered cheap mass production. Civilian companies like DJI can make millions of drones a year. DJI alone could turn out enough weaponized drones to flood any battlefield. This has Washington worried. In response, the US launched something called the Replicator Initiative. The goal: build thousands of low-cost AI-driven drones by 2025. Instead of one Predator, think 1,000 smaller disposable machines. These drones don't need to be perfect, they just need to be cheap, fast, and many. But even with this push, America still trails China in scale. Analysts say Chinese factories could retool in less than a year to produce 1 billion drones annually. Yes, 1 billion, with barely any strain. Zelensky's dark warning. Now, let's return to Ukraine, because here is where the story takes a darker twist. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky revealed this year that China has cut off drone sales to Ukraine while still sending them to Russia. He said there are even Chinese representatives working on production lines inside Russia. That leaves Ukraine in a dangerous position, falling behind in a technological arms race. Drone expert Maria Berlinska warns that Russia, with help from China and Iran, may soon launch over 1,000 drones in a single day. That is more than double the largest attack so far. For a soldier on the ground, it would mean wave after wave of wines in the sky, with no rest between strikes. And here's a what the fact that should make you pause.
The Ukraine-Russia war is more than 3 years old, and the conflict has reshaped the modern military in ways one couldn't have imagined, especially drones. Take the latest attack by Ukraine as an example. Operation Spiderweb is one of the starkest examples yet of how Ukraine does more with less. It has proven that relatively low cost and lower tech solution can do wonders to counter Russia's deeper resources. Ukraine is believed to have used rigged versions of lower-tech, commercially available FPV drones in this operation. Reports suggest it cleverly used AI solutions to program the drones to hit the Russian planes in their weak spots ahead of time, using museum pieces of the old Russian planes as training data.
Ukraine strikes back. So, is this unstoppable? Not quite. Ukraine still fights back with electronic warfare, better air defenses, and even their own drones. But here's the irony. Most of Ukraine's drones also contain Chinese parts. Despite efforts to build domestically, only about 5% of Ukrainian defense companies say their systems are free of Chinese components. That means the war has become, in many ways, a drone-on-drone fight, both sides powered by Chinese technology. It's a strange twist of global supply chains. The same Chinese-made motor could end up in a Russian kamikaze drone or a Ukrainian reconnaissance drone. Because in the dark skies of Ukraine, the future of warfare is already here, and it might be unstoppable. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future updates.